You're wasting precious time trying to fix people who don't even see themselves as broken. Let that sink in. You're out here reading self-help books, listening to podcasts, and doing the inner work. And at the same time, you're trying to drag someone along who doesn't even believe change is necessary. You show up for them, you explain things, you encourage them, you hand them tools, and they keep choosing the same old patterns. That's not growth. That's a cycle. And the longer you stay in it, the more it steals from your own evolution. You're not helping them. You're delaying yourself. Here's what no one tells you: constantly trying to pull someone else up drains your mental and emotional energy. And that energy, that's fuel. Fuel you're supposed to be using on your goals, your healing, your vision. Instead, you're spending hours analyzing their behavior, replaying conversations, and hoping they'll finally get it. But they don't. They won't. Not until they decide it's time. And that decision, that has nothing to do with you. You can't force clarity into someone's life when they're committed to staying confused. Every time you put someone else's emotional well-being ahead of your own, you abandon yourself. You stop showing up for the person who needs you most. You. Think about that. You become the therapist in a relationship where you're never the patient. You give advice you don't take. You preach accountability you don't demand. You hold space for someone who empties yours. And you tell yourself it's love or loyalty or compassion. But really, it's avoidance. Avoidance of facing the truth that you're scared to outgrow them, that you're afraid of being alone, that you think walking away makes you heartless. It doesn't. It makes you honest. Let's call it what it ice egg babysitting someone else's potential. You see what they could be, and that potential becomes your project. But potential is meaningless without action. And if they're not moving, all you're pushing is just noise. You can't turn someone into the person you know they could be. That's not your job. Your job is to become the person you're meant to be. And guess what? You can't do both. You can't climb and carry. You can't evolve while managing someone else's stagnation. At some point, you have to stop watering their garden and realize your own is dying. You think you're helping. You think staying is noble. But you're only proving to yourself and them that your boundaries are negotiable, that your standards are optional, that your time, energy, and love can be taken for granted if the excuse is sad enough. And the longer you play that role, the harder it gets to break free. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. If they don't want to change, they won't. Not for you. Not for anyone. You're not the hero in their story. And you're not supposed to be. Your peace is more important than their presence. And until you start living like that's true, you're going to stay stuck in cycles that break you down. Think about the mental weight you carry just to keep certain people in your life. You brace yourself before reading their messages. You replay arguments in your head hours after they happen. You walk on eggshells, hoping not to trigger another mood swing, another guilt trip, another emotional roller coaster. That's not a relationship. That's survival mode. And peace doesn't live in survival mode. Peace needs space. It needs safety. And some people, no matter how much history you have, just don't bring that. You keep telling yourself, but they've been there for me. Or, they're not always like this. Sure. They're not always chaos. But when someone forces you to choose between keeping them and keeping your mental health, that's not a relationship worth defending. You don't need to keep people around just because they've shared chapters of your life. If their presence comes with confusion, instability, or constant second-guessing of yourself, that's not loyalty. That's self-abandonment. You're trading your sanity for a connection that barely holds its weight when things get hard. And the people who truly love you would never want to cost you your peace. It's a hard truth, but not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. And just because someone wants access to you doesn't mean they've earned it. Protecting your peace might look like distance. It might look like cutting off daily conversations. It might even mean blocking numbers. Not out of hate, but out of healing. Because here's the thing, you don't owe anyone proximity at the expense of your inner calm. You owe yourself a life where you can breathe, think clearly, and feel grounded in your own worth. And anyone who constantly disturbs that doesn't get to stay just because they want to. You need to stop glorifying endurance. It's not admirable to stay in chaos just because walking away is uncomfortable. Discomfort is temporary, but mental exhaustion from toxic dynamics can last for years if you don't face it. You're not weak for wanting peace. You're not overreacting for choosing to protect your spirit. You're not selfish for saying, I can't do this anymore. It takes more strength to let go of what hurts than it does to cling to what's familiar. You don't need to prove your loyalty by sacrificing your well-being. You've done enough. You've tried enough. You've tolerated enough. Ask yourself this: how many times have you silenced your needs just to keep someone else comfortable? How many times have you dismissed your intuition because you didn't want to seem dramatic or mean or cold? That's the emotional cost of prioritizing presence over peace. You get stuck in relationships that deplete you, convince yourself that this is just how love works, and lose sight of who you were before all the noise. But peace isn't found in fixing people or enduring pain. It's found in the quick confidence that comes from finally putting yourself first. Discipline is self-respect in action. It's not about punishment or perfection. It's about showing up for yourself even when nobody's watching. It's waking up and doing what needs to be done, not because it's easy or exciting, but because you made a promise to yourself. And here's the truth: every time you break that promise, you chip away at your own trust. You teach yourself that your word doesn't matter, that your goals aren't urgent, that your future can wait. But the version of you that you're trying to become, that version is built on the back of discipline. Not motivation, not inspiration, not luck. Discipline is the bridge between you are and who you want to be. Focusing on yourself doesn't make you selfish. It makes you serious. It means you're finally ready to stop leaking your energy into people problems and patterns that don't add to your growth. It means you're choosing to redirect your time from distractions to progress. When you make your goals a priority, you're not ignoring people. You're investing in your purpose. And the people who truly support you won't guilt trip you for that. They won't call you distant. Just because you're committed to rising, the ones who belong in your life will understand when you need to log out, shut the door, and build. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's not ascetic. It's not what you post. It's what you practice. It's doing the hard things when no one claps for you. It's saying no when your body craves comfort, but your vision demands consistency. It's dragging yourself to that early workout, finishing the chapter when your brain wants to scroll, turning down that invite because your goals need solitude, not socializing. It's not always fun, but it's always worth it. Because with every disciplined decision, you're casting a vote for the person you're becoming. You're telling your future, I'm coming for you. When you respect yourself, your standards shift. You don't entertain half-hearted efforts, flaky people, or low-effort living. You stop chasing validation and start chasing vision. You build habits that reinforce your worth. You protect your time like it's sacred, because it is. And when people start noticing the change, not all of them will applaud it. Some will fall off. Some will get uncomfortable. Some will try to pull you back into your old patterns. Don't take it personal. Their discomfort is not your problem. Your job isn't to shrink for their approval. It's to expand for your purpose. You don't rise by accident. You rise by decision, by discipline, by the daily choice to do what most people avoid. You stop hoping life will hand you success and start creating your own structure. You stop waiting for the perfect mood, the perfect moment, the perfect plan. And you move. Discipline rewires your identity. It turns, maybe someday, into, I'm doing it now. And the more you keep promises to yourself, the less you tolerate anything, or anyone, that makes you feel small, scattered, or stuck. The right people don't need convincing. They don't question your growth, minimize your ambition, or make you feel like you have to shrink just to be accepted. They see you evolving and they cheer you on. Not because they want something from you, but because they value who you're becoming. But here's what happens when you start changing. Not everyone claps. Some people get quiet. Some get distant. And some start throwing shade masked as concern. You've changed, they'll say, as if that's a bad thing. You know what that really means? It means your growth is threading their comfort zone, and that's not your problem to solve. You've been taught to hold on, to fix, to explain, to prove. But growth isn't a courtroom. You don't need to defend your evolution to people who refuse to grow themselves. When you start setting boundaries, raising standards, and doing the work, you naturally create distance from those who aren't doing the same. That's not betrayal. That's alignment. And if someone truly belongs in your life, they won't need a presentation or a permission slip to understand why you're focused, unavailable for drama, or uninterested in old habits. They'll get it. They'll feel the shift and rise with you. It's a painful truth, but not everyone who started the journey with you is meant to finish it by your side. Some people were only supposed to walk with you for a season, to teach you, challenge you, or even break you, so you could step into the next version of yourself. And when that season ends, it's not your job to drag them into the next chapter. Stop trying to explain your mindset to people who haven't done the work. Stop watering relationships that can't handle the heat of your transformation. If someone is threatened by your growth, that's their internal conflict, not your invitation to dim down. You don't owe anyone a slowed down version of yourself. You don't need to dilute your energy, apologize for your vision, or ask for permission to evolve. The right people don't make you second guess your path. They don't mock your discipline or compete with your progress. They walk with you. Or, at the very least, they move out of the way and let you run. But if you have to constantly explain why you're making changes, justify you need space, or defend your dreams, you're trying to build in the wrong environment. Growth needs support, not suspicion. Let them walk. Let them question. Let them go silent. It's not your job to chase people who don't understand where you're headed. Every step forward you take is going to cost you something. Sometimes friendships, sometimes approval, sometimes familiarity. But holding on to the wrong people out of guilt, nostalgia, or fear of being alone will cost you far more. You're not here to stay the same just so others feel comfortable. You're here to become who you were meant to be. And not everyone will be ready for that version of you,